CEO's daughter throws cake at gatecrasher, then discovers she's a Microsoft VP worth 4.2 by dollars. Hey, beautiful souls, your support absolutely lights up my world. Hitting subscribe helps me share more heartwarming stories with our amazing community. Here's my promise. I personally reply to every comment because I genuinely love connecting with you. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from right now. I can't wait to hear from you. Now, let's dive into today's extraordinary tale together. The crystal chandeliers cast their merciless light across the Sterling Industries gala, illuminating 300 faces turned toward the stage where power and privilege had gathered to celebrate themselves. The air thrummed with the quiet confidence of wealth. Silk rustling against silk, champagne flutes chiming like distant bells, the soft murmur of voices accustomed to being heard. Maya Washington stood near the marble pillars, her navy dress modest but impeccably tailored, her briefcase a familiar weight in her grip. She had arrived early to review the contract one final time. $4.2 billion in partnerships, thousands of jobs secured, a future written in careful legal prose. The weight of responsibility settled across her shoulders like a familiar coat. Then the words sliced through the golden atmosphere like shattered glass. Back to the kitchen where you belong, ghetto trash. The chocolate cake exploded across Maya's face with the force of Victoria Sterling's contempt, frosting erupting through her hair, cascading down the navy fabric that had been pristine moments before. The sweetness coated her lips, but all she could taste was the bitter shock of humiliation. The ballroom inhaled as one, 300 sharp breaths drawn in perfect, horrified unison. Phones materialized like weapons, their screens glowing as they captured the moment. Power revealed its ugliest face. Maya remained motionless, cake dripping from her chin onto the polished marble below. Her mind had gone crystalline with calculation, even as frosting stung her eyes. She felt the weight of every stare, the heat of every camera lens, the electric anticipation crackling through the air like lightning before a storm. Victoria Sterling stood triumphant, her jeweled bracelets catching the light as she leaned into the microphone. Her voice carried the sharp satisfaction of someone who believed she had won. Everyone, this is what happens when gatecrashers try to sneak into our world, she announced, her words echoing off the vaulted ceiling. Look at her, covered in cake, pretending to belong here. Uncomfortable laughter rippled through the crowd, some guests smirking with cruel delight, others shifting uneasily, but none daring to intervene. Maya felt their discomfort like a living thing, writhing through the golden air. Slowly, deliberately, Maya raised her head. Her man near the bar muttered, his voice carrying in the sudden hush. The phones kept recording. The viewer count climbed steadily, carrying this moment of cruelty into the digital ether where it would live forever. Marcus Carter, the hotel manager, approached with the careful steps of a man walking through a minefield. Ladies, perhaps we could resolve this quietly. Nothing quiet about it, Victoria snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. I want everyone to see what happens when frauds try to trick us. Her gesture toward Maya was contemptuous, dismissive. Cheap dress, fake watch, probably stolen. Maya inhaled slowly, tasting sugar and bitterness in equal measure. Her hand tightened on her briefcase as she bent to collect the scattered papers from the marble floor. Victoria's heel came down hard on Maya's fingers, the sharp point grinding into her knuckles with deliberate cruelty. Don't touch those, Victoria hissed into the microphone. Security will handle your fake documents. Pain shot up Maya's arm, but she didn't cry out. Instead, she looked up at Victoria with a steadiness that seemed to unsettle her tormentor. Around them, the crowd pulled back from the undeniable cruelty, though some leaned closer, hungry for the unfolding drama. You believe I don't belong here, Maya said softly, her words carrying despite their quiet delivery. But perhaps you should verify before you decide who does and doesn't. She reached into her purse with careful deliberation and handed Marcus Carter a business card. He read it, and Maya watched the color drain from his face like water from a broken vessel. Dr. Maya Washington, Senior Vice President, Microsoft Azure. The ballroom shifted like a living thing. Whispers rose sharp and frantic, cutting through the air. Did he say Microsoft Senior VP? That can't be right. Victoria snatched the card from Carter's trembling hand, her laughter harsh and grating. This is the worst fake I've ever seen. Microsoft executives don't look like her. The cruelty of her words echoed louder than the music that had fallen silent. Maya felt them like physical blows, but beneath the pain, her resolve only hardened. She reached for her phone, cracked from Victoria's assault but still functional, and connected it to the ballroom's projection system. Her credentials filled the massive screens: Microsoft Executive Portal, her photograph, her title, her authority laid bare in corporate blues and whites. The reaction was instantaneous. The room erupted with gasps and shouts of disbelief. The live stream count spiked past 100,000 as comments scrolled faster than human eyes could follow. Victoria's face went ashen, but she fought to maintain her crumbling dominance. That's fake. She's an actress. You all saw her. She's covered in cake. Before Maya could respond, Carter was dialing Microsoft's main number, his fingers shaking as he placed the phone on speaker. Microsoft Corporation, Redmond headquarters. How may I direct your call? Yes, Carter said, his voice tight with tension. Please connect me to Dr. Maya Washington's office. The transfer clicked with the finality of a closing door. This is Jennifer, executive assistant to Dr. Washington. Every guest turned toward Maya as if pulled by invisible strings. She wiped a streak of frosting from her cheek with deliberate calm. Jennifer, this is Dr. Washington. I'm at the Sterling Gala. I've had an incident involving dessert. Jennifer's horrified gasp echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot. We're watching the live stream right now, Dr. Washington. Are you safe? Should we call the police? The silence that followed was electric, charged with the power of truth finally revealed. Victoria froze, her arrogance crumbling like a house built on sand. Jonathan Sterling burst through the crowd, his face gray with dawning horror. Victoria, he whispered urgently. What have you done? She spun toward him, relief washing across her features. Daddy, perfect timing. She's lying. She doesn't belong here. I handled it with some cake. The room erupted in disbelief. A voice from the back shouted, Nobody laughed when you smashed that cake in her face. Jonathan's eyes locked on Maya's credentials blazing across the screens. Maya watched him stagger as the full weight of the truth crashed down upon him. He turned back to his daughter, horror etched into every line of his face. Oh, God, Victoria. But she refused to stop, her voice rising to a shriek. You're all blind. She doesn't belong here. Look at her. Maya stepped forward, and when she spoke, her voice rose above the chaos like a conductor commanding an orchestra. Miss Sterling assaulted me while calling me ghetto trash. She humiliated me on camera in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers. And she did it minutes before I was scheduled to sign a $4.2 billion partnership that would have saved Sterling Industries. The words hit the crowd like thunder. Maya felt the shock ripple through them in waves. The live stream count spiked to 200,000 as her revelation spread across the digital world. Jonathan Sterling fell to his knees before her, his empire's CEO reduced to a broken man on cold marble. Dr. Washington, I am so sorry. Please, we need this partnership. Don't punish 12,000 employees for my daughter's behavior. Victoria's voice cracked like breaking glass. Daddy, get up. Don't beg for this cake-covered fraud. Maya lifted her briefcase, the one Victoria had kicked across the marble floor, and opened it with deliberate calm. Inside lay the contract, pristine except for the frosting that clung to its edges like tears. She held it high for the cameras, and her voice carried to every corner of the ballroom. This is the Microsoft Sterling agreement. It would have secured Sterling Industries' future, but the deadline has passed and the contract is void. Your daughter destroyed it the moment she threw that cake. The crowd's reaction was a living thing, gasps and murmurs rising and falling like ocean waves. Journalists surged forward, their cameras clicking like hungry insects. The live stream comments exploded in a digital frenzy. Jonathan collapsed completely, his empire crumbling before his eyes. Please, Dr. Washington, we'll fire her. We'll do anything. Just give us another chance. Maya's voice was steady, each word cutting sharper than the finest blade. Mr. Sterling, your daughter didn't just insult me. She insulted every person who has ever been told they don't belong. She revealed your company's values to the world, and the price is $4.2 billion. Security approached Victoria, who was now trembling, frosting still clinging under her fingernails like evidence of her cruelty. Miss Sterling, the security chief said with professional courtesy. We have multiple witnesses and 6 camera angles. You assaulted a guest. You're under arrest. No, this is insane. It was just cake. Victoria screamed as handcuffs clicked around her wrists with metallic finality. Maya remained perfectly still, letting the cameras capture every moment. The woman who had been drunk on arrogance was now dragged away in disgrace. The crowd erupted, some clapping, others shouting, but all understanding they had witnessed the fall of privilege in real time. Maya turned toward the cameras one last time, cake still clinging to her hair like a crown of vindication. Ladies and gentlemen, actions have consequences. Tonight, you saw them unfold. The live stream count hit 250,000 as Victoria Sterling was escorted from the ballroom. Her empire lay shattered, her privilege stripped away, and the world leaned forward, desperate to discover what Maya Washington would do next. When the ballroom finally emptied, Maya walked alone through the quiet corridor, her heels clicking softly against the marble. The weight of the night pressed upon her shoulders like a heavy cloak, yet beneath the exhaustion, she felt a crystalline clarity. She had not merely defended her dignity, she had revealed a truth far greater. Respect cannot be purchased, and arrogance cannot survive the harsh light of exposure. For the first time, she felt the sting of cake in her hair not as humiliation, but as proof that cruelty can backfire spectacularly. Even the smallest act of contempt can unravel an empire when it meets immovable dignity. Watching Victoria led away in disgrace, Maya understood that true strength lies not in shouting louder, but in standing firm when silence would be easier. She paused at the hotel doors, city lights flickering against the glass like distant stars. In that reflection, she no longer saw a victim covered in frosting, but a leader who had transformed insult into consequence. As the cameras followed her into the night, the lesson was written clearly for everyone who had witnessed it. Truth travels farther than privilege ever can.